Greetings, adventurers. This is Chris, aka Nos with New Adventures in Skyrim. Specifically, hello, Old Bearby, I believe. No, Old Bearby. Hello. This video is for you. I mentioned it in the comments, and so I wanted to say thank you. I'm going to slow down. Let me take a breath. I get very excited, so I need to slow down. I'm like a kid in a candy store. But thank you for conversing. It's a big part of why I am here doing the channel, doing all this, so thank you. Specifically, I haven't said it much here, but I say it in my life and where it's relevant, that time is our most precious commodity. You can always make more money, more friends, and you can always buy more magic cards, but your days are always numbered. And you know, so when you give me your time, I imagine people have a lot going on just like I do, and that time is precious, so thank you for spending it with me. With that out of the way, which I hope is actually important, let's get into some magic. This is my Eldrazi deck. Now, some people may be very confused because the commander is not an Eldrazi, technically, kind of. It's a newer card from, I believe it was Modern Masters. It's Morophon the Boundless. It's relevant because of it's a changeling, and that second line, as Morophon enters, choose a creature type, which will be Eldrazi. At that point, Eldrazi spells each cost a color symbol less, and they get +1/+1 on the battlefield. Now I want to talk about a couple things before I go into it. So Morophon is weird. This deck is weird. Eventually I'm going to go into the color. There's two aspects, I guess. It's the Colorless Ramp. I'm going to slow down again. And then there are colors sprinkled in. I consider this, I call it my Eldrazi Swarm deck. It's slow and janky. It's themed more than anything. It's not graceful, is the way I say it. But it's, once you realize what is happening, it's kind of somewhat too late, generally speaking. So with that out of the way, I'm going to try to keep him here. I'll go into that first. So to get my commander out, I go into Colorless Ramp. I'm going to kind of go and put him here so you can take a moment to pause and read if you need. That's Basalt Monolith. Again, these are all the colorless first. This one's a little bit more expensive, but I have some obviously better ones. That's more of a deep one that also allows card draw. That was one thing you'll see sprinkled in here that is maybe off theme, is card draw, because it was something I found that was lacking in this deck, especially in a quote swarm deck unquote. You can't not have cards in your hand to swarm out. So you'll see that sprinkled in. So we have more colorless mana in Victory Chimes. That also allows a little bit of political maneuvering, allowing me to do that for other players, and it untaps during every other player's untap step. So if I have instance or something I'm sitting on, I can also use it myself. Mana Vault, everyone's favorite Soul Ring. Mind Stone, another colorless that also allows for card draw. Worn Power Stone, a little on the bad side, it comes in tapped, but it's on themed. This is my first and only mana crypt I've ever gotten. So, as you can see with that, there's a lot of, and especially Mana Crypt specifically, and Soul Ring in there, it's quick, colorless ramp. Now, that will get my commander out faster. When I have Eldrazi in my hand, now I'm going to need a little bit of color, and that comes in here, where I have some signets, I believe 2, yes. So that sprinkles color in there. This allows me, again, potential card draw, but also every color. Mana Geode, scries when it enters, any color. Felwar Stone is a little cheaper, but it is dependent on opponent's lands. And then Talisman and a Sultai Banner. Now let's go into, let's save let's swarm the Eldrazi out at the end. So at this point, like I say, you get hopefully Morophon out fast with the colorless, then you start sprinkling that in, and then you start putting Eldrazi out. This card specific is nice because I may remove it because it's not Eldrazi. What I like about it is it's colorless, so if I can ramp out him on maybe turn 3 or 4, and maybe swing in on turn 5, get my commander out, it's quicker than ramping him out, and then I can also then cast Eldrazi. It's just an interesting card in that regard. Slip Through Space is just on point because it's Eldrazi. It has the card draw, and then is relevant because I can get creatures through for combat damage. Solemn Simulacrum, or as we call him, the Sad Robot. Again, it's Colorless Ramp that gets me land and potentially card draw when he leaves the battlefield. And then we have Ugin, colorless, and as we used to call him, Eugene. Again, if you can see that, I'm move it up a little. That line is relevant. Maybe you're not going to focus, camera. It's okay. Colorless spells cost 2 less, so that's in itself is good, and then you can read the other parts below. Again, this had to do with card draw and allowing me also to tap other creatures. Not so much on theme. That's what you'll see here. We have Teferi's Protection, something similar in that it's not so much on theme. It's just an amazing card. Urza's Incubator is mildly on theme. A colorless artifact, get it out fast, and then it reduces the cost of my Eldrazi. This was a remedy to the card draw situation I had. The thing I like specifically so much about that is the flexibility on if I'm willing to draw more cards and do the addendum portion, or if I just am desperate and need the cards. This is a wonderful card because I don't care about counters in this deck, and as a matter of fact, I'll get that in a moment. I'll put this to the side. Solemnity, but it just ruins a lot of people. A lot of current EDH and commander decks are counter dependent. I'll finish this and go through. So then we have Colorless Ramp, but this time on a body, which is nice. So this is kind of like a Soul Ring on a body, well, for a little bit more, but 2 mana. Ruin in Their Wake, colorless, devoid, again on themed Eldrazi. It's just a fetch, but it does give me the ability to put it out untapped if it's a waste, which is will be in here. Then we have 2 similar cards, Awakening Zone and From Beyond, that put out little Eldrazi, and each have this one specific, the effect at the bottom where I can utilize it to go grab Eldrazi. For land that are on theme, we have the Eldrazi Temple, Eye of Eugene. This is kind of just cool, mildly relevant. Temple of the False God. It's on point with the theme and the flavor of it, and then it's also colorless mana. I have 2 of the lands from, again, it's giving me colored mana in this deck, and it's from Zendikar. And then we have a bunch of, I'm just going to put the one down, Full Art Wastes. Now we're going to go into the Swarm. Sadly, I'm short 1 Titan. I do have Ulamog, and I have Cozy. I had to sell, I actually sold all 3 of them after my divorce, and I don't have Emrakul yet, but I did have the opportunity to get these 2 back eventually. But I did forget something I'll show at the end, Solemnity. Anyway, but then, so now, let's look at this card in the context of everything. With this card out, if my commander is out, this card will cost 1 mana to cast. And then colorless spells after that each cost 1 less, whether that's artifacts, devoid spells. But what's nice about that is with cards like, with those working in tandem, there's a couple cards in here I can cast for free. So for example, that card would be reduced by 1 by the one prior, and then reduced by the colorless from Morophon, and be free. We have this card, which is just great. I'll kind of leave it to let you read it, because it has the words there that are better than me stumbling through it. And again, it's Eldrazi, and that is fun for the big boys. But that bottom paragraph is nice because of the, again, creature reduction. I want to swarm. I want to be able to cast for free, maybe 1 or 2 mana, and put 3 of them out, which is relevant later. I'll show you, talk more specifically why. Then we have, again, just some others I'll throw down and talk through because these are just Eldrazi that do various Eldrazi things. This one's nice because it's actually a changeling shapeshifter, just like Morophon, which will be an Eldrazi, but then I also bounce creatures back from the graveyard with that to my hand. That's nice. So here we have just some more bigger ones. This one, again, potentially free depending on what I have out. This one potentially free. Some of the bigger ones. Deep Fathom was nice because it's a little bit more expensive, but that middle paragraph where if a creature does combat damage, I draw cards was another issue. If I swing, I want to be able to, draw more Eldrazi to swarm out. And then here we have some more Eldrazi. I'm not going to go much through those. These are all, again, potentially free. This one, not so much. Potentially free. Potentially 1 mana. That's a big boy. He's not getting around it. And again, we have some flash in there. More Eldrazi. Here's a interesting one. I forgot I had that in there. It's actually a sorcery. Void Attendant. Kozilek's Translator. Deceiver of Form. Vile Redeemer. Some wonderful names, right? Scion Summoner. Benthic Infiltrator. Another potentially free one. And then definitely free if my commander's out. So that's it. You see the Eldrazi Swarm. I did want to go back and talk about, bear with me for a moment if you will, going on with the theme of a swarm, which I don't see where I put that card, which is interesting. Oh, because they're in the back here. Oh, I don't know why I had these cards out of sight and out of mind. So with Solemnity, no counters. I do have in here somewhere that I can't find. There we go. Thank you for being patient. Dark Depths. So when this comes out, I put 10 ice counters on it. If Solemnity is out, I'm not going to do that, which immediately gives me a 2020 black avatar creature token with flying and indestructible named Marit Lage, as I call it. I know that's not how a lot of people say it. I just thought that's a really interesting combo. So with this, I'm going to lock a lot of you down. But when I play this, I'm also going to just lock myself down in a wonderful way. Mystic Forge, I thought this was great. It was a new card that is currently now relevant. I'll let you read it. Again, the words are there because they speak better than I do. Leave that for just a second so you can pause it if you need, because it's a lot. I'm going to move on to, I've mentioned in a couple comments, I'm a Bolas fanboy. So if I can do something like punish you and with colorless, with all the colorless reduction, this thing can be free at times. And then punish them. Just punish them. I love it. Eldrazi Monument. This is where we start talking about a potential Eldrazi Swarm, and I can sacrifice any of them, especially if I'm putting out those little scions at some point. I can just sacrifice one of them, flying and indestructible, and all of my creatures, +1/+1 again. And then this is another one of those Eldrazi Swarm cards where I said, so if I'm having my creatures enter the battlefield under my control, that will come out and start doing damage. It's a lot of fun. That was the gist of it. I do have some other non-basic lands that at this point I'm over 10 minutes and they're not really relevant. They're just good cards. So thank you if you made it this far. I appreciate you hanging out with me and look forward to your thoughts. I will make, I don't know if I mentioned it, I have over 60 commander decks and I want to do a video about them. At least just like a brief rundown of them, but that takes a lot. And again, this one deck was, what, 13 minutes it's looking like, so I don't know. But thank you very much for hanging out with me. And if you have any questions, comments, or anything else you want, let me know. I love interacting, accommodating, and just the social aspect of this, so thank you so much. And again, thank you for spending your time if you've made it this far, and I can look forward to repaying you with some of mine in the future, so I look forward to that. Thank you very much. Take care of yourself and take care of the ones you love.